Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tailosive Tech Live on YouTube. Hope you're having a good iPhone Eve, because in less than 24 hours, I will be unboxing my review unit. I feel like I have to go back and find all my old clips of me saying that, yes, I do plan on reviewing the new iPhone. That doesn't mean I'm upgrading to it, because despite me knowing people were gonna miss that, and so intentionally I kept saying it over and over and over again, there's still people that missed it and didn't catch that part. So there's like, Drew, you said you're not gonna buy it, but I see you're buying it. I don't know how else to prove it to you, so I might just have to throw that at the beginning of the unboxing video. But yeah, we've got iPhones around the corner. We've been, especially here at Tailosive Tech, been dropping all kinds of videos surrounding the iPhone 14, things I like, things I don't like, things I think people should avoid. But I wanted to take a brief break on that today and just talk about, we've also talked a lot about the Apple Watch lineup as well. But I haven't really dove much further deeper into AirPods, which we did get a refresh to the most popular pair of AirPods. That's something Apple brought up during the last event that I didn't know, which is that AirPods Pro are the most popular. That's honestly impressive. The fact that like more people are buying the $250 pair than the $130 pair, that was news to me. I would have thought that the cheapest pair was the best seller, but I guess a lot of people really do genuinely want to upgrade for that active noise cancellation because it's worth it to them. And it got this new chip. You know, they originally introduced the H1 chip, which was not really that different or unique from the W1 chip. I think it improved talk time a little bit with battery life. This is the first time they've upgraded that chip since March of 2019. So it's over 3 years in the making, that H2. And of course, they put it in the AirPods Pro, but not the Max. And of course, there's a big list of things we want changed with AirPods Max, because I've never been so torn on an Apple product before. I know we haven't talked about it recently, but like, there's so much good and yet so much wrong with one singular product. I've never been so tempted to buy something from Apple and been so like, yeah, but I can't justify it because the price is so high and it still uses Lightning and it still really can't take advantage of any like higher fidelity audio. Whereas I do think Bluetooth 5.3, which is on the new AirPods and the new iPhones, will likely allow for higher bit rates. I don't think it's going to be quite lossless, but still better sounding audio, which could help justify the AirPods Max higher pricing, as well as improve battery life, which I don't think is quite that good compared to other over-ear headphones. So I have a theory, and of course we're speculating today because we don't have any sources, we don't have any news. Nobody's coming forward in the leak community saying they know when the new AirPods Maxes are coming, or at least anybody reputable. But it does feel particularly awkward to have a $250 pair of headphones with better silicon than $550 headphones. So to me, the H2 chip proves some kind of like, there has to be some sort of eventual upgrade, right? There has to be some eventual refresh coming, unless it's just going to be another OG HomePod and they just scrap the whole product entirely. But I really don't want them to do that. I also just think that because AirPods are such a lucrative, huge business for Apple, you know, like people have said before, if AirPods spun off and formed their own company, they would be big enough to be in the S&P 500. Just the AirPods side of the business. Ignore Apple Music, ignore iPhone, ignore everything else. AirPods alone are like a multi-billion-dollar industry that Apple has a monopoly on. Pretty soon they're gonna be broken up and AirPods will have to become their own company. But I really think that Apple might be waiting for the USB-C transition, because it already feels a little bit awkward to me that these new AirPods Pro, which are great and have all the Find My tracking support and have the volume controls now and all that's great, but they still rock Lightning. And I know it's not confirmed, and of course plans could change if things don't according to the way I want them to or to what the EU wants them to, but maybe it's not quite set in stone yet, but I feel like it's pretty likely at this point that Apple's going to have to start the transition to Type-C at some point next year, probably with the new iPhones. You know, when Apple first introduced Lightning and started moving away from 30-pin, they started it with the iPhone, because the iPhone is their bread and butter, that's their best seller, that's what everybody's buying. So when you're changing a standard, or where you're changing a direction for a ecosystem of products, I think the iPhone is where it all starts. So my prediction, and again, this could all be wrong, so don't look at this as confirmed or guaranteed to happen. But I think Type C the transition to that is going to start with the iPhone 15, and everything else is going to follow suit. So new Siri remote, new AirPods, new what else is there? Magic keyboard, magic mouse, and all that. Everything else is going to get upgraded after the iPhone or around the same time as the iPhone. So because we haven't really heard anything about updated AirPods Max or updated over-ears from Apple, I haven't even heard about there being a cheaper pair in the works or something. Like, it's literally gone completely quiet, other than I think at one point Mark Gurman said they're experimenting doing AirPods Max in different colors, but we still haven't even gotten that. So that's my running theory, is not that Apple wants to scrap AirPods Max entirely. I actually don't have a problem with them selling a pair of over-ears for that much. Sorry, there's something got stuck on the top of this laptop. I don't know what it is. Some kind of dust or something. That's weird. I got to clean this thing. I haven't been treating my MacBook Pro nicely. I should be. I spent too much money on it. But I do think that it would make a lot of sense for the big refresh, because clearly Apple doesn't plan on upgrading AirPods Max annually. So if they are going to update it, it makes sense to wait till... you don't want to drop new AirPods Max now with Lightning if the Type-C transition is starting in basically 12 months, and they don't want to update it in another 12 months. So maybe they're just holding out and saying, the H1 chip is good enough. Let's just let the H1 do its thing for the next year on AirPods Max, and then next year, because AirPods Pro were not upgraded for basically 3 years. They dropped it in 2019 in October, and then they didn't refresh them until now. So a little bit under 3 years, but basically the 3-year mark. And AirPods Max were dropped in the end of 2020. So if that lineup is consistently being refreshed about every 3 years, that's the consistent thing for AirPods, then I would expect AirPods Max could get upgraded near the end of next year. And that could get Type-C, that could get lossless, that could get Bluetooth 5.3, or maybe even a better standard by then. Maybe because the battery life is so good in AirPods Max, they could actually put Wi-Fi modems so that you could stream lossless audio directly to the over-ears rather than casting them from your phone or something. But hey, Ben Rayner, thank you for the super chat. How long ago did AirPods Max come out? It was end of 2020, I'm pretty sure. AirPods Pro were the end of 2019. So it seems like every once in a while they want to do an AirPods drop at the end of the year. This year it was AirPods Pro 2. I'm thinking next year it'll be AirPods Max 2. But that's all purely speculation. I don't have sources. I don't have any leaks or anything claiming to back that up. Harvey Smith said USB-C and lossless and better battery life, literally all they need to do. I think that could absolutely justify the cost. I don't think, personally, some people probably disagree with me on this. Some people are like, Apple needs to find a way to sell them for $399 instead of $549. Especially with the inflation we're in and the fact that they want to have a premium pair of headphones. They're I think, intentionally trying to make a... Because the thing I love about them is they nailed the design. Like, I think they look fantastic. They're super comfortable on my head when I tried them out. And I just love the look, and I think they're just very premium feeling compared to other cheap, still $400 headphones out there, but they're still made of plastic, and they just don't retain that premium feel and luxurious shine that I guess the AirPods Max carry with them. But I feel like the AirPods Max are not rocking the silicon or the hardware to justify that price. It can't just be about looks. That's part of the equation, but it's not the entire equation. And if they got that I/O and if they got that bandwidth to catch up to match the high premium feel of the chassis and the arms and everything, then it could absolutely justify that $549 price point. I'll catch up with the earlier chat here as well. Chris Norton says, what are we talking about? We're kicking off with AirPods Max second generation, I guess, wish list, because there's an H2 chip now that exists because of AirPods Pro 2. And what's interesting is just that there's a brand new piece of headphone silicon that Apple's come up with that's in $250 headphones, but it's not in their $550 headphones, which almost feels like a refresh is imminent or inevitable unless they cancel it and cancel the product lineup entirely. Neem super chatted. I just got accepted to Apple Card and impulsively bought AirPods Max last night and got my daily cash back now to pay the $500 early. I hate holding debt. I would not have done that if I were you, Neem. Personally, you can, from what I've seen, you can find AirPods Max for $400 or less on Amazon or elsewhere. You can find them on sale and get a lot better than 3%. You don't get the cash back, but you save yourself $150. So that's what I think would be better. I own a pair of AirPods Max, and I'm just scared they will introduce lossless via Bluetooth, and I'll have to spend another $550. Well, I tried to warn people. I tried to say, like, I don't think they're worth it at that price. But I think the next generation pair has a higher likelihood of being worth it. Dylan White says, I'm fairly confident that AirPods Max still sound better with the H1 chip than the H2 Pros, but I think they'll wait for the iPhone 15 so they get USB-C. You're probably not wrong about that, just because the drivers and the tweeters that they build into the AirPods Max are more advanced than the AirPods Pros. But that's not to say that the H2 chip AirPods Max would not sound better than the H1 chip AirPods Max. Basically, there's room for improvement, and especially, like, I don't even know if it's so much the H2 chip, or maybe the Bluetooth codec is built into the chip. I'm no expert on Apple Silicon, but I think Bluetooth 5.3 might result in there being a better advancement in wireless tech and better battery life as well as better bandwidth, more so than just the chip itself. But maybe those two things are the same. No one's listened to AirPods Pro 2 yet, really, that's outside of Apple employees. So we don't know exactly how much better it sounds. It might not sound that much different, but I think the Bluetooth codec could make a difference. You sound amazing on AirPods Max. Thank you, Neem. I'm also talking to you through my MacBook Pro microphone. T. Parker Evans says that AirPods Max are $429 on Amazon. I feel like Amazon renewed you can get them for cheaper as well. Jason says, I could be wrong, but I have a sneaky suspicion that Apple will release their own lossless codec for the AirPods Pro 2 and some of the versions of their AirPods with firmware update randomly. I think that lossless is not exactly something you can make your own codec for, at least from the way I understand it. Lossless is lossless. Like, lossless just means there's no conversion going on. So if Apple comes out with their own version that has a different conversion process from switching audio from high bitrate to wireless back to outputting on the AirPods, I don't know if they could technically count that as lossless. They might call it something else. They might just call it Apple High Fidelity Audio, HD Music, Ultra High Definition Audio, or something like that. But Elizabeth says AirPods Max and similar products are not sweat and water resistant. It is a deal breaker at this price point. Where did you hear that? I don't know if they're water resistant, but I know they're sweat resistant. You can get wet. They can get rained on. They can get sweaty. I don't know how well AirPods Max will age if they get wet or sweaty, but usually Apple tests that stuff more than most. Did I know the 13 Pro Max has an hour more of battery life than the 14 Pro Max? Mr. Who's the Boss just did the test. I don't think those battery tests are good indications of real-world performance. I've seen different... I saw one guy, I forget who, but I think it was Tom's Guide, did a battery test comparing the 13 Pro Max to the 14 Pro Max, and the 14 Pro Max got 2 hours longer. It's also not an apples-to-apples comparison because I feel like I haven't seen Mr. Who's the Boss battery test, so I don't know how he's testing it. But to me, having all the phones on with all of their screens and cycling between different tasks is not a good indication because that's not how people use their phones. Standby time is also completely ignored when you do those battery tests. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that the 13 Pro Max on average might end up performing better because it technically has a little bit higher milliamp hour capacity and it doesn't have an always-on display. You know, the 13 Pro Max is not even like attempting an always-on display, whereas the 14, yes, I'm sure it's the 14 Pro, of course, I'm referring to. I'm sure it has a very efficient always-on display because it has like a dedicated display driver just for the 1 hertz, and it tries to consolidate as much power as possible. But either way, having a display on, even if it is dim and it's only at 1 refresh rate, 1 hertz, it's still using some power. And I imagine that it's not that different from my Apple Watch, which technically has always on display support, but I've tested it and it absolutely ends the day at a lower percentage with AOD on versus off, and I don't expect the iPhone to be any different. So I'm sure it depends on how you use your phone, and again, there also probably should be some battery tests of how does the 14 Pro Max perform if you turn off the always on display. That way it's a bit more of an apples to apples comparison. Apples to apples, I know, literally. But if you turned off the always on display on the 14 and compared that to the 13, that might be a different story. So I'm sure the battery life is good. It's probably a toss-up between the two. They both have fairly large milliamp hours, and they both have fairly efficient chips on the inside. And I also think that there's different circumstances of, like, are the phones on Wi-Fi or are they on 5G? Because from the teardowns we've been seeing or hearing about, it sounds like that they've designed the iPhone 14 to be more power efficient and have better thermals on the inside. So if that's true, I bet that during intensive circumstances, whether it's FaceTiming on 5G or using Apple Maps for hours and hours, I noticed that drains my 13 battery pretty quickly. Maybe it doesn't drain the 14 battery as fast because it's more thermally efficient. So I don't think we can just blanket statement say, therefore 13 Pro Max has the better battery life. It's like, well, I'm sure it depends on what you're doing. I don't think there's just a one size fits all, because I've already seen someone else do a battery test where the 14 Pro Max got 2 hours longer battery life, so it just depends on what you're doing. Anyway, EG, thank you for the super chat. He says, sold my 13 Pro Max for 1,100 euros. Excited to get my 14 Pro Max in purple tomorrow. I'm excited for you. I hope you like it. I think the dynamic island's going to steal the show. I think that's by far going to be the biggest, most noticeable change, at least in daily usage. Do you suggest buying AirPods Max now for less than $400? Yeah, it's even harder to recommend now when I feel like there's got to be a refresh, because the newer silicon exists. The H2 chip is out there, and I don't know. I feel like you should wait and see what AirPods Pro have going for them, because AirPods Pro are a lot more competitive against AirPods Max now. You can control your volume with AirPods Pro, so that's no longer exclusive to the Max. You're getting better battery life. Arguably, total, you're getting better battery life with the charge case because you get 30 hours total, whereas I think the AirPods Max total battery life is 20. So you get better battery life for less than half the price. And with this A2 chip, they said there's updated drivers and adaptive equalization. And they said that the active noise cancellation has been improved with AirPods Pro 2. So I need to try these. Maybe people should compare the two. I know some people just inherently want over-ears compared to in-ears. But I think more and more people, even more so than before, should consider AirPods Pro 2 before they consider AirPods Max. T. Parker says AirPods Max aren't sweat or water resistant. Oh, really? Well, Elizabeth said similar products. I know AirPods Pro are. So that, once again, another reason to consider AirPods Pro. Still, though, no lossless with H2. Well, there's not even a port on AirPods Pro, so I can understand that. With AirPods Max, there's less of an excuse because it does have a port. It's just that port is not capable of doing lossless. Will you keep the iPhone 15 if it has USB-C? I feel like the question is flawed, Michael. People are asking the wrong question. Because people ask me all the time, oh, thank you, Ben, for the super chat. He says, when battery health 85%, does that mean it went down a lot for 2 years on an iPhone? No, that's normal. I think most smartphone batteries are rated for about 80% after 800 cycles. So usually you get to around 800 cycles at the 2-year mark. It depends on how much you use your phone, how you use your phone. But no, don't worry and feel like 85% is too soon. That's very average. That's very typical. Anyway, I don't think people should be asking themselves, is the new iPhone worth buying? They should be asking, what's wrong with my current phone? If something's wrong with your current phone that the new iPhone solves, then okay, sure, it's worth it. Like, I need a 48 megapixel camera, or I need a dynamic island, and that's a problem, and my current phone doesn't have that. That's a problem, so I'm going to upgrade. Okay, if you view that not having the dynamic island or not having a 48 megapixel camera is a problem that needs to be solved, and the new iPhone fixes that for you, then sure. But in my case, you're asking, like, is not having USB-C on my iPhone a problem? Not really, because as much as I love USB-C and I want that to be on my iPhone and I want that to be on everything, really, AirPods, iPads, everything, I'm still going to charge my iPhone via MagSafe most of the time. My car has a wireless charger built into it, so usually my phone just sits on that charging, and then at night I put it on MagSafe and it charges inductively. So if you're going to have a port, I think you should have the best port, but am I going to use that port on my iPhone very much? No, not really. And I think that my whole purpose with not upgrading this year was not because I thought the iPhone 14 was bad. It was that there was nothing wrong with the 13 Pro Max. Sure, I wish it had Type-C, but is that going to fix a problem I have with my phone? Is there an annoyance every day where I'm like, oh, I wish I could do this with my phone, but it just has lightning and that ruins it? It's like, no, I charge inductively. Do I feel like I am limited by the 12 megapixel camera on my phone? No, I still think my iPhone has a great camera, and I can't wait for Ventura to come out so that I can use continuity camera for these live streams, and I think it'll look great. And it can do it wirelessly. I don't even have to plug in a wire to do that. So I'm very happy with the camera performance. Something like interesting happened today. I was looking through my camera roll, and I realized that I hadn't actually taken a picture or a video on my phone, not counting work stuff. Like I take videos for cutaway shots, or all of the EV videos are shot on my iPhone now. So those videos I do for work, but I just put them on the computer and then I delete them off the phone because I don't need them on the phone. But I hadn't taken a picture on my phone for 10 days. The last one I took was a picture of how hot it was outside. It was like 117 degrees, and I took a picture of the temperature reading in my car because of how freaking hot it was. And that was the last picture I took, and that was on September 5th. It is now September 15th, and I have not taken a picture since then. So can I say that having a 48 megapixel camera or having 4K cinematic mode is going to help my life or fix a problem that my current iPhone has? No, I can't really say that. So, I mean, maybe my mindset will change, but at this point, how I feel today is that I would like to own my iPhone until there's a problem with it that can be solved with the new iPhone. And maybe they'll come up with something that I could absolutely utilize and take advantage of that my 13 doesn't, that I feel like I need. The dynamic island is cool, and I'm very impressed with it, but do I need it? That's a bit of a stretch. I don't think I could justify it as I need this. This solves a problem that I have with my current phone. My iPhone still feels fast. It still feels snappy. Still has a great battery life, even though, update for you all, since we're talking battery health. I'm currently at 96% battery health, so I actually feel more comfortable now that I'm not worried about it being at 100% anymore. And the fact that it's at 96% and it still gets me through the day with plenty to spare. I think yesterday, what does it say? I want a charge limiter so bad, and that has nothing to do with the new iPhones. I really just want the battery, like, can I just set it to 80%? Optimized battery charging is not very good. All right, I'm just going to go out there and say that. I have it turned on all my products. I have it turned on my MacBook. It's on my phone. It's on my watch. It's on my AirPods. And Apple software is not good at knowing when it should stay at 80% and when it should go to 100%, because I charge at the same time every day. And look, late at night, it still goes straight to 100% and keeps it there all night, even though it should take it straight to 80% and leave it there until 6 in the morning or whatever. It doesn't. No, it doesn't learn my charging habits, and my Apple Watch does the same thing. It should be charging to 80% when I put it on the charger, but it still takes it straight to 100 and probably deteriorates the battery health faster. But as you can tell by that graph, I did not even get my 13 Pro Max to 50% state of charge yesterday. Couldn't even get it to 50, and again, the battery health has never been lower. So I'm totally content with keeping my 13 Pro Max, even though that I like a lot of the features, and I'm happy that they brought so many good, exciting new changes to the 14 Pro Max. But that's kind of where the challenge sets in. That's why I came forward with my statement of how this is my last iPhone for a while. I'm kind of putting my foot down on, yes, there will be new changes. Yes, there will be upgrades. I don't deny that. But I want to challenge myself to say I can live with less and I don't need to have the latest and greatest. And I think that I want to set an example in that way. It's okay to not have the latest and greatest iPhone. There's nothing wrong with that. If I caught up with super chats here. Okay, Hasiel, thank you for the super chat. Saw Sam Cole met Cook at the event. He must have known who he was, right? Involved with leaks and Prosser. Do you think Tim reads leaks or cares, or would have confronted him if it was more private? No, I don't think Tim keeps up with those things. I think he's a very busy guy, and he has a lot of things to oversee with the company and supply chains. And I don't know what he said to Sam. I wasn't there, so I'm speculating a bit. But if I were a betting man, I would bet that Tim Cook had no idea who he was. I don't think just because you take a picture with Tim, that means he knows you. He was taking pictures with lots of people. I've talked to fans that have met with Tim before and taken pictures with him. He likes taking pictures with people. That's just he's a crowd pleaser. I don't think that means he watches his videos or anything. He might. I don't know. It's just that's not an assumption I would make. I don't think Tim follows the leak community. But thank you for the super chat. Evan says you take more photos when you have kids, and I'm sure that's true. I wouldn't doubt that at all, but I don't have kids, so at this point, I'm not, like, gonna prioritize camera quality in my phone a lot. And, I've seen a lot of comparisons of iPhone 14 Pro camera versus 13 Pro camera. Nothing really jumping out at me. Nothing really amazing. I'm not... I'm not, like, super pumped or super interested in really anything the cameras showcase so far. Cinematic mode still looks like cinematic mode. It was kind of exactly what I thought. It was actually a little bit disappointing in the camera department for me. Last year, they introduced all these features where I was like, okay, they've clearly left some room for improvement with the 13 Pro camera by introducing cinematic mode and ProRes recording. And I'm like, yeah, now that you can only do cinematic mode at 1080 at 30, next year they can add 4K at 60 cinematic mode, and next year they can add 4K at 60 ProRes. And now the new iPhone 14s have come out, and there's still not 60 FPS cinematic mode. There's still not 60 FPS ProRes. So I'm like, really? Still? So they've got some room for improvement for the 15. But yeah, it was kind of exactly what I thought it would be when I saw Peter McKinnon's videos of 4K cinematic mode. I was like, yeah, it still has that kind of fake look to it. It's still good. It's the best it's ever been, but at the end of the day that it's shot on an iPhone. It's still iPhone looking. So, Drew, you got AirPods Max? No. Would you recommend them for $500? No. I have a hard time recommending them for $400, which you can find them for on Amazon, but they're just... There's so many bad design decisions they made with them that it makes it hard to justify. I still think $400 is a lot for headphones. Like, before AirPods Max came out, that was, like, the high-end over-ear market. Like, Sony and Bose, the best of the best were usually around $400 for wireless headphones. And then Apple came out with $550, and there's still not an audio jack cable included, and there's still not a real case, and it's still rocking Lightning, and it still doesn't support... lossless, even though Apple supports lossless on Apple Music. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, they could have made something so perfect. And I'm not usually a guy advocating for a headphone jack, but if you're going to have a headphone jack on the Mac, then in my opinion, having a headphone jack on $600 headphones makes sense, because if you're getting into that price bracket of over-ears, then you're competing with studio monitors, using them as a tool for audio production. And that's what I thought AirPods Max should be. They should be this all-encompassing, like, you take the great music listening experience, like, yes, they have AirPlay, and yes, you can easily pair them with your phone, with your iPad, or even your Apple Watch, and you can listen to Apple Music on them on the go, and they're very intuitive, and they've got great noise cancellation. But at that price point, they should also be a great, like, Logic Pro tool that you can use with your Mac and have high fidelity audio and very low latency, high, they're bragging about how the new MacBooks have high fidelity audio jack cables. The new MacBook Air has this beefed up headphone jack, but Apple doesn't make a headphone that can take advantage of that headphone jack. And I feel like that would be the match made in heaven of, like, Apple branded headphones with a straight audio jack cable that's powered by the high impedance headphone jack on your Mac, So they should be like this perfect hybrid that's a great Mac tool and a great iPhone accessory. But the port selection they chose just prevents them from being that. So that's what bums me out about it. Let's see. There's a super chat from Max Herman. Thank you very much. Thoughts on going on the Genius Bar podcast with Sam and John? I mean, I've not been invited, so I'm not going to invite myself. I don't like it when people do that on my show. That's been, I won't say who, but that's been done before, where people are like, hey, bring me on now. I want to come on your show. And it's like, I like our podcast because it's the one time in the week I get to catch up with my friends. Like, I love catching up with Randy and Mike, and hopefully Nick can make more time for it. But yeah, when Nick's on there, I love chatting with those guys. And when we have guests on, we kind of have to stop everything else and just talk to them. It really has to be an interview at that point, because you're asking them, and they're not a full-time member on the show, so they're not getting paid. Usually, I don't know how other shows do it, but typically, like, just full transparency, we haven't paid anyone to come on our show. It's always just like, hey, do you have some time to chat with us? We'd appreciate it. If not, no worries. So no one gets paid to come on the Tech Podcast channel. So when they come on, they're giving up their time, which is why we ask them questions, and basically it turns into an interview. Whereas I want to catch up with my friends, but yeah, and I barely can make time for that. We're actually struggling a lot behind the scenes this week. Just a little sneak peek. It's been very, very challenging to get schedules aligned this week, because things are a little bit different than usual. We normally record the podcast at 9 a.m. on Friday mornings, but of course tomorrow morning I'm going to be picking up my new iPhone, so I can't record at the normal time, and so are the other guys as well. So everybody's going to be busy, and we're trying to find a good time to record after, because we don't want to record the day before we get our iPhones, because that episode's going to be dated really quickly. So we're like, what time can we record on Saturday? Sometimes work for certain people, and other times work for other people's, and because everybody else has got things going on in their lives and other jobs and stuff. So it's really challenging to get schedules aligned. So other people have been asking me to come on their channels. So I'm saying they haven't sent me an invite, but even if they did, I would have a hard time finding the time in the week to come on. There's a few people that have asked me to come on their channel this week already, and I'm trying to, not them, but I'm trying to find the time for these other channels that I want to come on. Austin's Tech, thank you for the super chat. I don't know when they're going to add that to the AirPods Max. Just out of curiosity, what codec do you export your videos in? It's the Apple ProRes 422 standard. Like, basically it's a heavily compressed, very small file size. I record everything in Apple ProRes and then export it in H.264. I forget which one it is, but basically it condenses the quality down a lot so that it doesn't take as long to upload. Let's see. Mark my words, they will have new-looking design cameras on the back next year. I think they kind of have to, because the periscope lens has been rumored for a while. However, I think there has been some chit-chat on whether or not that's been postponed for the iPhone 16 or not. MKBHD didn't invite himself. That would be funny, though. Actually, if you're a channel of that size, I think you can invite yourself. Like, if Marquez was just like, hey, I want to come on your podcast now, I would probably have to say yes. I'd be like, okay, I'll make it happen. Or if someone else that big, I don't know, John Morrison or iJustine or Your Average Consumer. There's a few good tech channels out there. If Mr. Who's the Boss reached out and said, hey, I want to come on your podcast, I'd probably have to say yes. I don't think I could say no. I tell the other guys, sorry guys, he wants to come on. I can't say no. So, but I don't think we have that problem, thankfully. We don't have to worry about that. Dylan White said USB-C has provisions for analog audio, so that is probably what they'll do with the AirPods Max 2. See, that I didn't know. I thought maybe in order to have full lossless, they would have to just straight up put a headphone jack on there, which I don't think is a bad idea. Again, I know I've been an advocate for not having a headphone jack. Like, I was fine when they removed it from the iPhone. I was fine when they removed it from the iPads. And I even, for a time, advocated for them to not have it on the Mac. But the fact that they've kept it on the Mac, and they've actually improved it, they've like beefed up the power output of the headphone jack on the Mac, is like, okay, if you're gonna encourage it and incentivize it to get better on the Mac, then you should compensate for it on the headphones as well. There should be, like, if you're buying over ears, people who are buying the little earbuds are not trying to edit audio and do high intensive stuff with the Mac with AirPods Pro. I understand that. Like, so I'm okay with the regular earbuds not having a headphone jack or whatever. That's just stupid. It just wouldn't work. But if you're going to do the over ears and they're going to have a port anyway, I'm in favor of there being a port. And now that I've heard from people like Dylan saying that USB-C does have an analog provision, that would mean you could do lossless audio over Type-C. But even so, even if you couldn't, what's the problem with just having a little Type-C and a headphone jack? The headphones are big. They can do it. And I feel like at that price, they should include an audio jack for people that want AirPods and they like the noise cancellation, but they also go on planes sometimes, and a lot of planes don't have the Bluetooth connection, and you have to go back to using a regular headphone jack on the plane. Can we talk about how they charge $15 for a non-Apple lanyard? I feel like, I don't know, knowing Apple and how much they charge for things at the Apple store, like the Lightning to headphone jack adapter was like $10 or something. 15 doesn't sound that crazy. I'm sure that the lanyard is using some fancy material that's durable or whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't see why that's a big deal, I guess. Maybe people are used to lanyards costing $2 or something, but 15 isn't that crazy to me. I would agree more so if it was like $50, but 15 is like, yeah, that sounds about right. Second gen AirPods Max would probably have two H2 chips, maybe lossless support. Well, yeah, technically AirPods Pro too have two chips as well, because there's one chip in each pod. But the advantage of AirPods Max is that they're connected. So there is an H1 chip in each cup of AirPods Max, but you have that band connecting the two. So maybe the chips can work in conjunction with each other, and that can enable some kind of better drivers, better performance. No offense, but in your last Apple video, your shirt was so sweaty. There's no offense taken. It's just, it gets hot. And there's not a great way to cool me off when I'm recording and trying to keep the audio levels down. And also, I don't have a huge house. So when I'm recording my videos, I'm talking quite a bit. So I keep the door closed because I don't want to bother, my wife or anybody else in the house. So I keep the door shut, which increases the heat, which increases my sweat. But I'm also just naturally a sweaty person. Even when the climate is pretty cool, I still tend to sweat. So there's not a great solution to that. I don't plan on spending however much it would cost to put in a big air conditioner in here so that it would be cool when I'm recording. But also to get an air conditioner that's quiet as well is also kind of costly. And there's also, just looking around, there's not a great place I could put one. There's not a lot of room around the window. And we'd have to cut a hole, and then the front of the house would have the outside of the AC unit. It's just not a good solution. You buying Apple Watch Ultra to review or to keep? I'm planning on reviewing it. There's nothing really at this point that I plan on keeping that Apple's unveiled so far. I'm kind of content with my Series 7, and I'm happy that the Apple Watch Ultra exists, but I don't really think I would utilize any of its features. I have no use for the Ultra action button. The bezels are quite a bit thicker than my Series 7, which that's something I love a lot about my Apple Watch, is just how clean and simple it looks. And the bulkiness of the Ultra would probably be a little bit jarring for daily wearing. I get that it's durable, and I appreciate that it's ugly, because for the market it serves, it makes sense, but I don't do anything that justifies the Ultra. Nemo says, have you received the iPhone yet? Oh, yeah, I have it right here. I just haven't unboxed it yet. When will we see a huge difference with iPhones like there is with Galaxy phones? What difference? What do you mean, pointlessly rearranging the camera bump on the back for no reason every year? Or do you mean slightly moving the camera hole to the left or right every year? No, I think Galaxy phones are just as stagnant, if not worse. In fact, in the Discord, in the Android community we have there, a lot of people have been complaining about Samsung making their phones objectively worse, getting the screen quality worse, or the battery life worse, or the cameras take a dive in performance, or like Samsung just straight up removing things and making it objectively worse than the previous model and costing more. Whereas I feel like the iPhones don't really do that very much. They occasionally remove something, but not to the same extent. Feels like Samsung just betrays its fans all the time. They hype up their fans for, hey, we have expandable storage, we have a headphone jack, we have an S Pen, and then they just remove all those things. They're like, come over for our cool features that we're not going to do. Seems like a lot of the Android community is quite annoyed with a lot of Samsung's decision making. Will there be a new Apple TV this fall? Yeah, Quo said there would be. So maybe that's at the October event. I don't know, but I get the impression that Apple doesn't want to keep manufacturing devices with the A12 chip anymore. And that's what the Apple TV is currently rocking. So I wouldn't be surprised if they give it something cheap. Maybe they just throw an A14 chip in there. I don't think it will make that big a difference. It's just purely just going to be for manufacturing efficiency. They're just like, oh, by the way, here's a new Apple TV, A14 Bionic. So much better for Apple Arcade gaming, which totally everybody uses, right? Inspired by challenges, any advice for people considering starting a YouTube channel? Just start and just understand that it's going to suck. You're going to start making videos and they're not going to be very good, and not that many people are going to watch them or want to watch them. And you just have to make videos in order to get good at them. There's not a book you need to read. There's not a channel you need to watch. There's not a guide out there. There's not some one size fits all. Take my advice and that will fix your... Don't pay for anybody who says they're going to have an academy or a training program that will take you to success. There's a lot of BS out there. There's a lot of channels that make a living out of selling success packages to young channels that think they need to take a course or take a class or read a book that will help them become a good YouTuber. And there's no secrets. There's no paywall that you have to break through in order to get good at making videos. It's nothing you should pay for out there other than just investing in yourself. Just invest time. And also, don't think it has to do with equipment. Don't think, oh, I can't make YouTube videos because I don't have the right camera. I don't have the right microphone. Just use your phone. That's good enough. Your phone is plenty good enough to start with, and just get good at editing. Figure out how you want to portray yourself on camera. That takes a lot of practice of just getting good at how you speak and how you look and how you act on camera, and getting practice at that. So just start. Don't wait around. Don't wait for the stars to align. Oh, I'm waiting until I get this right, or I'm waiting until I get the right lighting or the right equipment. Just start and know that it's going to be hard, and your first 1,000 videos are going to suck, and your next 1,000 videos are going to suck a little bit less, and just look for ways to improve. If you're posting a lot of videos and they're not getting anywhere, then think about changing your strategy, trying something else, trying something different. Okay, what do I like from other channels that I want to emulate myself? What do I want to watch on YouTube? Pay attention to what you're watching and feel about how you can make something that you would want to watch yourself. That's the only way I can recommend you start YouTube videos, because if you're making content that you want to watch, then you'll be able to make lots of it and not make any money at it, or not have anybody watch it, because you'll be enjoying the process yourself. So if you're enjoying the process, you can last a lot longer. You can tolerate yourself. Whereas if you're making content that you're not interested in and you're not really wanting to watch it, then you're gonna get burnt out a lot faster, and you're gonna get tired of that a lot faster than if it's something you're interested in. Elizabeth says there are quiet fans if you try to dead cat on the mic. That's not the problem. Fans aren't gonna solve anything. It's the air temperature in the room. It's not the airflow. Speaking of Samsung, the last one of their phones I tried to repair, the replacement display had a short cable. Uh-oh. That's not good. What is this question? Apple World says, what color iPhone 14 Pro Max did you get to keep? I'm not keeping the 14 Pro Max. Be very clear on that. I am not keeping it. But I ordered the silver one to review for the channel, but that's it. Buy my success course, I'm legit because I have a Lambo that I rented in a big house from Airbnb. I know there's so many channels out there. There's so many people that are trying to sell people on a course, sell people on a program. Take my course and you'll become a good YouTuber, or you'll know what to do. And it's like, no, they don't know anything that's not already out there. Don't pay for that stuff. Ben Rayner, thank you for the super chat again. Slow and steady is the key to doing YouTube. I've recently started a channel in February, and we're just at 75s now, but I'm having a blast making content. That's good. That's ultimately what matters. Even if it never turns into a full-time job, at least you're enjoying it, right? At least you made something and you put it out there, and it's on the record. And as long as you're enjoying it, ultimately, that's what matters. Like, I know a lot of people see me and this channel, and of course there's a certain level of success. I think is safe to say it's not the most successful YouTube channel out there, but there's people watching it. But also keep in mind that I have other channels that have gone nowhere basically for years. I don't do them because they make money, because they don't. I do them because they're fun and I enjoy them. Like I just got together with my good friend Dan yesterday for Tailosive movie reviews that I've been working on for years. And me and Dan, we're not trying to turn Tailosive movie reviews into a full-time job. We just enjoy talking about movies from time to time and talking about concepts or shows we've watched and how we feel about different studios and their cinematic universes. And we just want to get together and document that because we enjoy our discussions, and other people occasionally tune in as well. So me and Dan have been doing a little show on that channel called Dandrew, because we just merged our names together. We've been doing that for like 6 years. You can scroll back on that channel. We did a Dandrew episode way back in 2015, 2014, I think we were doing those videos. And yesterday we did another one. They don't make money. That's okay. Like, it's all right to pursue it as a hobby. And if it turns into anything more than that, then great. It's an extra bonus so that you get to do something you love and enjoy and make money at it. But you will be able to, in my experience, it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of hard work to get to the point where you can convert a hobby into a full-time job. And all of that discipline, all of that hard work is a lot easier if you're enjoying it. If you're enjoying that process and you're like, I would do this for fun, I would do this if I wasn't getting paid, then you'll be able to get through that hard disciplinary period of hard work and get to the point of, let's try something else, let's try something different, so that we can, get more people watching, or make content that more people are interested in. All of that hard work pays off if you're enjoying it along the way. So that's my only recommendation, is like, make stuff you want to watch. If you're making stuff you don't want to watch, then you're not going to last. You're just going to give up on it because other people aren't going to want to watch it either. Austin's Tech also super chatted. He says, I've been doing YouTube on this channel for 4 years, currently at 435 subscribers, and have over 100,000 total views. That's great. Congratulations, Austin. I'm happy for you. But yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint. That's what I recommend to people. It's not about working really, really hard for a couple months to build up the channel. It's like, it's years and years and years long process. And it doesn't really stop when you get bigger. When you get older and your channel has found some success, or you start living off of it, then you're still going to run into times where you feel burnt out, or you feel tired and you're like, oh, my channel's not performing the way it used to, or I'm not growing as fast as another channel. This channel came along and they're doing better than I am. And you have to just get good at understanding the numbers aren't everything, and that doesn't bring you joy. The numbers aren't going to give you eternal happiness, but finding something you enjoy doing routinely, that's what you can find more long-lasting appreciation with. Yes, Dylan, I know what mini splits are, but that's not good. I have many friends, and my uncle actually has installed many mini splits myself. Ross, who's Tommy's asking about, what happened to Ross, your sidekick? He's still around. We still hang out. He's on leave a lot because he got a job with it's hard to explain. It's basically a company that live streams firefighters' presentations. So there's a lot of fires around the country right now, and he basically travels to wherever the firefighters are working, and they have to make presentations on how they're going to fight the fires and what areas to evacuate, and the state pays for a lot of that broadcasting, and he works for a company that does all of that. So he's traveling a lot. So usually I only see Ross maybe once a month, sometimes every other month, because he's always in a different, like last month he was in New Mexico, then he was in Arizona for a while, now he's in Oregon. But yeah, he's required to get time off like once every 3 weeks or so. He just has to decide whether or not he wants to come back home every 3 weeks, because it's a lot of driving and a lot of travel expenses. So he doesn't always come back home, but when he does, we try to meet up. And we actually filmed a bunch of videos of Tesla Smart Summon when he was here. And he had a new microphone and new camera equipment, and I just haven't gotten around to color correcting and fixing the audio of the footage. But we filmed some stuff together, and we did some time-lapse footage of the sunset, and we still hang out. We still do stuff. He's just busy. What do you need new from Apple? Asks Peter. Liberath? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I would still love a camera by far. Like a dedicated camera, not an iPhone, that actually has interchangeable lenses and a full-size sensor. I have to use a lot of equipment for my job every day, and I'm very tempted to make the switch to just filming off my iPhone, because I'm so sick of dealing with DSLRs and all the crazy lenses and filters and like, I just love the simplicity of an iPhone camera, but I just don't like the sensor doesn't look as good as a dedicated camera. And Apple knows that. Like, that's why they don't film their commercials on iPhones. You know, they showed the behind the scenes of the iPhone 14 launch with the robot camera and everything. That's not on an iPhone. So until they're shooting Apple events on iPhones, I'm still going to say that there needs to be an Apple dedicated camera. I think it would be very, very popular, considering how many video people buy Macs and how many people use Final Cut. Like, there is a very large overlap between Mac buyers and camera buyers. And Apple has a very good camera department that's working on the iPhone, but they're so limited in their size. They can only work with this much space on the phone. And if they could only expand the sensor size and the lens attachments, but still have the great computational capability of what you can do with an A15 or A16 chip, the read and write speeds, the battery life, the Find My support, the biometrics, the software simplicity of being able to scrub through things and switch between file formats and switch between resolutions and frame rates and stuff. Apple would make, in my opinion, and I'll fight anybody on this, Apple would by far make the best DSLR ever, or mirrorless camera, whatever you want to call it, if they made one. I think they would absolutely dominate the industry of dedicated cameras, and they could shoot all of their TV Plus shows on it. They could make it modular, or they could make more of a studio grade one that's good for YouTubers, and then make more of a professional one that's more catered towards Hollywood and cinema. And, you know, if you're like, well, that's kind of a niche market, then why are they selling a $50,000 Mac Pro? How niche is that? You know, for every $50,000 Mac Pro, you know, people who want 1.5 terabytes of RAM, there's 5 people that are willing to buy a dedicated camera for YouTube or freelance videography, whether they're doing wedding videos or commercials, or there's all kinds of people in the industry making cameras for TV shows, or YouTube channels or feature films. And I think Apple would kill off or seriously compete with Red Digital, Canon, Nikon, like everybody, because they would make a camera that would integrate and work so seamlessly with the hardware that most Hollywood cinema are working with, like cameras, like MacBooks or Mac Studios or Mac Pros and that kind of thing. It would be incredible. It would be beautiful, and I think it would just be so capable, and have AirDrop. I think that would be a game changer in the photography world, if you could just wirelessly share photos and videos to your laptop right after you take them, and immediately color correct them and show them to your clients, instead of having to fuss around with SD cards or CFast cards. Oh, I got to get this adapter. Oh, we got to bring the SD card slot back because people want that. Oh, no, we got to get the Thunderbolt CFast card reader to plug in because that has faster import speed. Or just put a high intensive Wi-Fi bandwidth, Wi-Fi 6 on that thing, so it can transfer AirDrop videos way faster, higher bandwidth that could pair via Bluetooth or some proprietary Apple thing. I could at least start off with an action camera like GoPro and DJI. The iPhone's good enough for that. Just put the iPhone in a case in a gimbal, and it's already got action mode. I don't think we need more. I think those markets are oversaturated, personally. I feel like the iPhone is already replacing the GoPro for a lot of people. So I don't think we need more action cameras. I just think we need one that goes all in on just cinema-grade, high-quality looks. Something that goes up against Red and Blackmagic, and like the Pocket Camera or the Red Komodo, something like that. That would be incredible. Do you think a CF Express card reader should be on the Mac Pro? At least an option, I guess, yeah. Oh, sorry, Token Bulk Guy. Sorry, I missed your super chat. He says, I've had my YouTube channel for 2 years, close to 5,000 subscribers, but have not made a video in a year. Oh, okay, gotcha. You're taking a break. That's understandable. Thank you for the super chat. Can you do a food channel next? Yeah, we do have a food channel. We've had it for a while. You need to find someone named Andrew to add to that and change the name to Dandrew Andrew. Okay, I'll do that. I'll find an Andrew just for that. All right, Scott Medina, thank you for the super chat. He says, I'm having trouble justifying the AirPods Pro price. Do you like them enough to spend $250? Well, I mean, I did when they came out back in 2019. I paid full price for these. But I've gotten a replacement pair since then. So I definitely, which means a fresh new pair of batteries, so no degradation on this pair, or less degradation, I guess. But yeah, like, I think they're worth it at $250. I mean, worth is subjective. It depends on how much money you have and what's your current headphones like. Is there something wrong with your current headphones? If you already have AirPods Pro, I would say it's a much harder recommendation. Like, if you already bought AirPods Pro and they're working and they get the job done and you're happy with them, do you need AirPods Pro 2? No. If you're unhappy with your AirPods Pro 1 because they're old and the battery is deteriorated and, you know, you want them to have Find My support because you're losing your AirPods Pro all the time and you can't track them down, then okay, yeah, I could justify it. I think that's a decent price, but also AirPods Pro are one of the most commonly discounted accessories on Amazon. So I think there's a very high likelihood that if you just wait a couple more months, you'll probably be able to get them for $200 or less on Amazon if you just want to wait, Scott, and just not buy them at launch. Before AirPods Pro 2 dropped, and probably still to this day, on Amazon you can find a ton of AirPods Pro for usually like $180, which is basically the price of AirPods 3. I'll look them up and see what they're at right now, see if that's still going. Yeah, they're still there. And they're new. They're not renewed or anything. This is just brand new, straight out of the box, still with a full Apple warranty. You can buy first generation AirPods Pro for $180. So, and I'm sure that will probably happen to AirPods Pro 2 within a couple years. iPhone cannot replace GoPro. Not every GoPro, but I'm saying it has replaced a lot of GoPros for people. Just because it's a camera that everybody already has with them. A GoPro is an additional camera, an additional micro SD card, an additional battery to charge. Whereas people they have their phones with them all the time. So they just, instead of buying a whole action camera, they just buy a phone mount and stick it to things, because not everybody is putting their GoPro underwater or through the mud or on the outside of a car. A lot of people are just using a GoPro as a little mounted camera. I've gone through 3 iPhones with same GoPro. I've had a lot of GoPros go bad on me, to be honest, but I'm not saying it's replacing every GoPro, but GoPro definitely has had weaker sales in recent history. A friend of mine follows GoPro incredibly closely. He's like a GoPro sheep, and he's watched the company, and he said that they're not performing as well as they'd like, and they had to downsize a lot, and that's why they're moving things more towards the subscription model, trying to get more people to subscribe to their membership for GoPro stuff. So I understand. Like I'm gonna film some more stuff in my car, especially with FSD beta, I think, expanding. I'm gonna subscribe to that soon. And I don't feel the need to buy a GoPro. I think I'm just going to film it with my phone. Just mount that somewhere inside. Costco already has AirPods Pro 2 for $239. Small savings, but it's still something. Assuming you have a Costco membership, yeah, that's a good deal. If someone has the 13 Pro Max, is it worth getting the 14 Pro Max? Again, worth is always subjective. I'm going to say no for me. It's a no for me, dog. But someone out there, if you have a lot of extra money, and it's honestly not as big as an expense as you may think, because if you're able to sell your 13 Pro Max for say $800, $900, then you're really asking, is dynamic island and a 48 megapixel camera and always on display, better battery life, satellite texting, car crash detection, is all that worth an extra $200, $300 to you? For some, maybe. Maybe only $200, $300 to get the latest iPhone and have all these new perks and the new design and all these upgrades. Sure, for some people. But I don't think that means everybody. There's not a one size fits all answer. The kids on the bus yell too much, so that justifies my upgrade to second gen. Well, we'll see. Maybe you try it out if it makes a noticeable difference. Launch day tomorrow. That's right. I know. I'm gonna be there. I'm excited. Just make sure ANC and transparency mode lasts longer than 6 months. I don't know how you make sure of that. After the 6-month mark, it's kind of too late. iPhone 14 Pro upgrading from 13 Pro cost me only $183, and I just keep paying the same amount per month, and that cost includes the first month. iPhone upgrade program is the best. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the iPhone upgrade program is the most financial wise thing to do, but it's not a big loss to have the latest iPhone every year. But yeah, in a world where we don't have Apple phones, which smartphone do you choose? In the US, there's not that many options. Probably a Samsung Galaxy. I mean, I really want to like the Pixel, but they just have so many software problems every year. I mean, I like the concept of one company controlling the software and the hardware. And I feel like if there was a company to threaten the Apple ecosystem and come up with an ecosystem that could rival what Apple has come up with, Google is the closest. They're developing their own silicon, they have their own hardware, and they're designing the software, and they try to make the hardware and software integrate pretty well. So they keep failing at the execution. They keep botching the software launches, and they keep botching the hardware and not doing that great a job with it. But if they had good execution, I feel like Google could be a threat to Apple. So theoretically, Google could be a really good option, but they're just not. So I would likely just end up going with a Samsung. I'm surprised you haven't mentioned the 14 Pro fixed your biggest iOS complaint, the battery pop-ups. Yeah, I did see that. It's not battery pop-up specifically, it's any kind of pop-up. I don't want any pop-up nothing should jump in front of the screen and turn off everything until I address that pop-up. Like, I'm against that concept. Like, whether it's enter your password in settings or, enter this one thing or there's an update ready. Like, all of those should just be notifications. They should not be, it should be the death of all pop-ups. And I was grateful to see that Dynamic Island gets rid of that battery pop-up, but I'm not willing to upgrade to the whole phone over that because I honestly rarely get my iPhone to 20% in the first place. So it's not that common of an issue, but it's something that they could clearly fix via software. They could add that to the 13 if they wanted to. They just don't. It's nothing inherently that the 14 has on it that prevents it from having to show pop-ups. So many pop-ups have caused me to die in games. Yes, I know exactly what you mean, Dougie. That sucks. I hate it when that happens. Did you know iPhone 14 won't arrive to Colombia? No, I didn't know that. Who thinks he'll upgrade before the end of the year? I feel like I should place bets with people. I feel like you guys are so convinced that I'm going to keep the 14 Pro Max. I want to put money on the line or something. Where's Dynamic Peninsula? It's right there. I know. We need software animations for the Peninsula now. Anthony says, I've had so many bad experiences selling phones that I just trade them in. Okay, well that's fair, I guess, if you don't like the selling process. I'm happy to say I haven't really had any bad ones. Pretty much every year prior, I've just been like, okay, I'll sell this to someone. And I usually find someone in my personal life where I sell it on Marketplace and find a good buyer. I haven't had any bad stories. The 14 has special drivers for that Dynamic Island. Oh, right, I'm sure. The A16 chip is the only device with the processing power to handle Dynamic Island. There's no way that you could bring that to the A15 chip because the A16 chip is so different. Do you think if Steve Jobs is still alive that the Apple Watch, AirPods, AirPods Max, and 4 phones every year? It's impossible to really know, but because Steve was known to have an opinion on a product and then change his mind down the road if he could be convinced. So there's things he could have been convinced of, but um, I really think Steve would have liked the Apple Watch and the AirPods. I think they were very aligned with what Steve valued in a tech product between software simplicity and ease of setup and intuitiveness. Like, I really think he would have appreciated those accessories. Maybe he wouldn't have such a diverse lineup. I don't know if Steve Jobs would have done the Ultra or the SE. Those were typically, he liked having simplified lineups, and he kind of liked saying, this is our product, this is what it is, take it or leave it. He was more known in a world where there was companies that were advocating for more options. There should be more sizes. There should be more customization. That he would just say, nope, we're just going to have the one size, and that's the right one. Although he changed his mind on things, you know, he was around for the iPod Shuffle, the iPod Nano, the iPod Touch, the iPod Classic. You know, he was not against a diversified lineup. He was willing to have varying sizes and varying form factors. So it's not completely outside the realm that Steve Jobs would be against having a Max iPhone and a mini iPhone or things like that. I don't know. Maybe not to the same extent that Tim Cook is comfortable with. I think Tim in today's Apple seems to be very comfortable with the decoy effect. They seem to like the idea of, let's have products that are intentionally kind of bad because it makes other products sell better. And they've done studies to find out that if we present a bad option, then people end up spending more. I think the 14 Plus is kind of a decoy effect. It's not particularly a great deal. I mean, yes, it's big and it has a good battery life, but the specs on it are not particularly good for a $900 phone. And it's so close to the price of the Pro that I wouldn't be surprised if they did some market research and realized that if we put a $929 14 Plus in the lineup, then that will result in like 20% more buyers opting for the Pro, because they'll look at the 14 and think, okay, that one's $800, that one's $900, which is really close to the price of the $1,000 Pro iPhone. I might as well just go for the Pro. That one seems a lot better and has a lot cooler features. So that would be tempting. Have you seen the iPhone 14 teardown pictures on Discord? And they seem much easier to repair for sure. Yeah, I did catch that. They have like a back plate now so that you don't have to replace the battery through the front, I guess. So it's funny because they raised the prices of the battery replacement. So on your iPhone 14 series, it cost $100 to replace the battery, whereas on my 13 Pro Max, which is harder to replace the battery, it only cost $69, which is nice. So that makes me want to hold on to my 13 Pro Max even longer. Is like, how long can I hold on to this phone? And if the battery gets so bad that the phone starts misbehaving, you know, the battery health dips below 80%, and I start running into software issues, or the display starts getting less responsive or whatever, I'm only going to have to pay $69 to replace the battery in that thing. Whereas the iPhone 14, which is so much easier to work on, costs $100. I just thought that was funny. But yeah, it sounds like Apple put a little bit of emphasis on repairability on the 14, which is a good call. The Apple tax on that camera would be crazy. There's already camera taxes, though. That's already a thing. Red Digital has a substantial tax on their products, and I'm sure Canon is known for charging more than competition anyway. But if it's good and it has the connectivity, then it's not really a tax. It just costs more to have the features people care about. I have heard about Ericsson and the Apple conflict with 5G. I'm not following it very closely because Apple has a lot of money, so I'm sure they can afford it. But yeah, I don't think Apple's worried. The A15 chip can't handle Dynamic Island. It's too much. It just can't take it. There was a diverse Mac lineup under Jobs as well. Well, I mean, yeah, there was fairly diverse, but before Steve Jobs came back after being let go, it was very diverse. Apple had so many different Macs, and he came in and cleaned it all up and simplified it. Again, but it wasn't as bad as it is today. Today's Apple is not as diverse as it was without Jobs. Hasiel, thank you for the super chat. If Apple made a car, camera, television, washer, dryer, etc., would you let them take over your whole lifestyle ecosystem, or would even you push back? So you notice I don't buy like everything Apple makes. I don't own AirTags, even though I think they're cool and I appreciate them and and I'm glad they exist. I don't have a use for them, so I don't buy them. So I would probably feel similarly about a washer dryer. There's certain tech that companies make smart, and I feel like there's no point or advantage to making them smart. Like, I tried to get into the whole smart home thing and buying smart bulbs and smart accessories, and I just realized this is so much extra work. You got to buy you got to download third party apps, and you got to set up accounts and passwords and firmware updates. And when the network changes, all the smart bulbs fall apart and don't work anymore. And I was like, this is not that complicated of a system that we need to simplify with technology. I think the technology is hurting this experience. I walk into a room, I'm probably going to be pretty close to a light switch, and I just flip the light switch, hoping that I can yell out to Siri to turn on the lights and have her say, okay, turning that on now, and then, something went wrong, and now I got to troubleshoot it, go into the app and figure out what firmware update it's on, and go into the third-party app and find out that my password needs to be updated because that third-party company that developed the smart bulb wants a different password because they had a security breach with their accounts. Is like, oh my god. So trying to make a Apple branded washing machine or dryer is like, what am I going to do with those? Do you think I'm just going to be sitting on my couch one day and suddenly be like, oh yeah, I already put all the clothes in the dryer, but I didn't hit the start button when I was there? It's like I found out that there's a smart microwave. When am I going to need to use a microwave remotely? That's the only reason there could be for having a smart microwave. If I'm at the microwave, I'm putting food in it. It's not that hard to just push a button and say, heat this up. It's very simple to just like, some devices don't need to be smart. That's how I feel about like the tech world. It's like certain devices like a dedicated camera stand to benefit a lot from consumer tech and embedding in better chips or Find My support or AirDrop. You know, that could make the camera experience much, much better. Putting that Apple Silicon or Wi-Fi or connected tech into a washing machine or a dryer doesn't benefit it much. I don't think that would make the product much better. So no, I don't think I would buy all Apple appliances and accessories if that's what they made. The car is like, it depends on what it is. You know, if I'm still convinced that if Apple did make a car, which I don't think they're going to at this point, they've been talking about it for too long. Everyone's like, oh yeah, they're thinking about making a car. I've been hearing about that for literally like 10 years, and they've still not done anything with it. At this point, based on the way Tim Cook talks about cars, it doesn't sound like they want to compete with like Tesla or Lucid. Like they don't want to just manufacture a car and sell it. It sounds like they want to come up with either enhanced CarPlay experiences that they just license out and give to other car makers, or they want to like make a robo-taxi vehicle or a ride-sharing platform where in certain cities, kind of like Google Waymo. You know, Google Waymo is not a car you can buy, but in certain regions you can get in that car and it'll drive you to your destination and you just pay it like a Uber, basically. It's like an Uber that doesn't have a driver. And I think Apple might want to get into that, and maybe they'll develop their own car for that platform, but it wouldn't be a car you can buy. It's just something you can ride in occasionally. So yeah, I don't think Apple would make something that's like a Tesla that you can just buy and own yourself. So I buy Apple products that I see value in, and I don't think any of those products you listed, other than the camera, maybe the television. It would be kind of nice to have a TV that just had tvOS built into it, but I have a feeling that if Apple made a TV, it would probably cost thousands of dollars, and I'm very, very happy with my 55-inch 4K TCL TV. It's not fancy, but it works, and it looks great, and I have no complaints with that TV. So, and it already has an Apple TV connected to it. That was a gift. I didn't buy it, so I'm happy with what I have. I'm pretty sure washers and dryers have a delayed start function, but if not, it would be nice to have a routine for starting the washer dryer at 1:30 a.m. to save on electricity cost every weekend. It could, but I'm usually not doing laundry during peak hours anyway. During peak hours, we have other things going on. So I would rather just save the money. The money you would save by running them on off-peak hours would have a very long break-even point to the cost of buying that. An Apple-branded washer or dryer would probably cost thousands of dollars compared to the washer and dryer we have, which we bought secondhand and cost, I think, $200. So we'd have to spend like $1,000 or $1,500 to save like $30 on power, maybe a month, which is $300 a year. So maybe we'd break even after like 5 years. It's like, yeah, it's not a big deal. Apple needs to partner with the gaming companies, not make another console. If they want to get serious about AAA gaming, they could, but it's just not a very profitable business. We've gone down that rabbit hole before. Smart lights will be best when you walk in the room and the lights automatically turn on. Different users could have different presets for the room. Again, I don't think that would be better, because there's some situations where I walk in the room and I don't want the lights to come on, because either it's bright enough and I don't need the light to be on and wasting power, or it's late at night and I want the lights to be off because I don't need to see everything at full brightness. So I feel like it wouldn't understand the context well. Some things don't need to be fixed. I feel like anytime you try to fix the whole lighting thing, you just make issues worse. You make more room for error. You make more mesh networks and more things that are going to break anytime the internet goes out. Sometimes it's nice to just have a light switch. Just a tech product that just works. You walk in the room, if you want it on, you flip it. It takes less than half a second, and then I'm done. And I turn it off on the way out. Sounds good. We don't need to complicate it any more than that. That's enough. There are other solutions than smart bulbs for lighting. You can have a smart switch that functions like a... I know, I've tried those. It's still, like, again, you're saying it's a solution. What's the problem? What's wrong with a light switch? I walk in, I flip it. I walk out, I flip it again. What's the problem? Is that so inconvenient to you to go? It's a gesture, right? Like, we don't need to add voice. I'm so sick of voice commands. I feel like most voice commands suck. Or it hears you wrong, or it freaks out when the internet's not right, and you have to reset it when new updates come out. Or, hey, I want to get a new router. Oh, that means you have to update all your bulbs now because you bought a new router. It's just like homes last so long. You know, maybe that's the problem with smart homes, is that a lot of people will buy a house and live in it for decades, or buy a house that's been around for decades. And because it's such a long-term product, it's not really even a product, it's just a living space is such a long-term thing that trying to develop technology that lasts 10 years and doesn't run into issues creates problems. Like anytime you try to come up with a standard or come up with something that you're going to utilize for that long software-wise, and it has to be integrated and baked into the walls now, that just causes issues. Problem is having a pregnant wife in bed and you forgot to turn off the light on the ground floor while you're on the third floor. Who's going to go down? Sorry, I don't have the third floor issues, so I guess more money, more problems, basically. If you have a big house like that, then yeah, you got to spend some money on light solutions so that you don't have to go down to your house is too big. I apologize. So you create more problems for yourself with bigger properties. But I guess in my house, I just get up and turn it off. It's not worth spending hours and hours trying to set up all these things and take out light switches and you bought a house with the ground wire, that you need a light that supports this wire and you got to plug it in this way because your wiring is old in your old house, so now you got to redo the wiring in order to adopt the smart switch. I've been down that route. I've done the smart switch thing. It's not easier. It's not any better than just a light switch. Sure, I get it. Your wife is pregnant. You don't want her to do something, but I just don't think that the alternative is less work. It's anything if more work. I hate it when my 7th floor game room lights turn on and I'm in the basement. I mean, God. More money, more problems. If you rename the new router the same name and password as the old network, all smart devices reconnect without any issues. I know, but sometimes you want to change the password or you want to change the network name. Or sometimes you get a different router that uses a different frequency and it doesn't convert over as easily. My desk lamp has a touch sensitive button. I love that. See? The simplicity of that. You just touch. It's all that's it. It doesn't need to be this whole walk in and it knows what you want, because it doesn't know what I want very well. I use Philips Hue. That's good. I don't think less than 1,500 square feet is a large house, but that's just me. Well, if you have 3 floors, it's it's extra. It's an extra space. No, 1,500 is not that large, but if it's so large that you're inconvenienced by forgetting to turn a light off, then wait, what was the problem again? The ground. You forgot to turn off the light on the ground floor. It's like, okay, I forgot to update my light firmware, or I forgot to buy the right smart switch, so that my light, like, it's a problem that could be solved by just getting up and turning off the light. If it's a 1,500 square foot house, then you're not going that far. I'm not saying your pregnant wife needs to do it. I'm just saying it would, in my opinion, it would take less time to just get up and turn the light off than spend the time to set up a voice-activated light switch and everything. My router sits in a rack with 8 different access points around the house and different hubs on an IoT subnet. How long did that take you to set up? Is my question. Because I've seen the Snazzy Labs video of like how to make the smart home smart, and it's like, okay, you're buying these servers and you're routing cables everywhere. Like, how is this better? If the setup costs more time and money than just putting up with dumb lights. You're looking at one problem, whereas a switch, however you dismiss, you can change the colors and intensity of the lighting. You can't do that with a dumb switch. Yeah, they can. They have the little dim lights. My grandma's house has that. She doesn't have smart bulbs, but she just has the switch with the little dim light thing. Also, I'm not at the age where I'm like, oh, the lights are too bright. I'm not there yet. The light's on, it's fine. I'm not bothered by that. If I just turn them off if it's a problem. Have your wife get up and shut the light off. Honey, turn off the light. Looks like people are desperately looking for reasons to buy smart accessories, which are actually the smartest when they're done. Like, are you upset that someone has decided to save money and just not buy smart accessories? I feel like that's to someone's advantage. If they decided they can live with dumb lights and dumb switches, then that's their benefit. They have more money than you do simply because they don't have to buy those things, and they don't need those things to be happy with their living circumstances. They're at an advantage to you. But what are they going to do with that? You didn't have to buy smart accessories and a smart hub. Okay, they saved $60, $100. They can use that on something else. Cool. That's to their gain, right? We don't need to convince people that they need to spend more money on things that they don't need. Smart accessories. I tried it. I'm saying I tried to go down that path, and it just every time it got worse. Every time I wanted to change houses, every time I wanted to change Wi-Fi names or networks, or like anytime I wanted to switch something up, it just created more problems. Mohammed Talha says, every smart accessory I ever bought has lasted no more than a year. There you go. Closes blinds, turns heaters down, closes door. Well, I'm glad it does all of that for you, but the money you had to spend to get to that point, I'd rather just have that money and then close it. I think to myself, I'm closing the blinds. I just made $20. I'm turning off the heater. I just made $10. Because I didn't have to buy a smart Nest thermostat. Every time I'm saving a little bit more money. Siri, flush the toilet. That's what we need. Apple pooper. I would buy that. Smarty Pants switches for you are not at home. I'm very happy with my dumb switches. You're forgetting about benefits of automation with smart switches. No, I'm not. I'm just not putting value in them. There's a difference. I'm not forgetting that there's advantages. I'm just saying that the compromises are too high. The fact I would legitimately use a Siri-controlled toilet is probably sad. Siri, wipe my butt. Being myself at the stage when I use a dumb watch, I can feel you, and I guess I'm not ready for smart bulbs and such yet. Yeah, I don't really try to convince anyone unless they ask me to. Like, I forgot when it was. A couple streams ago, someone was like, try to sell me on an Apple Watch. I was like, okay, if you're asking me why you should buy one, I will tell you. But I don't just go to people like my friend Dan, who I just had over yesterday. He has a dumb watch. He doesn't have a smartwatch. I'm not going to try to convince Dan he should spend more money on his life to have a more capable watch. Sure, I see value in an Apple Watch, and I see there's advantages to it. But if he's happy with a regular watch, I'm not trying to convince someone to spend more money, you know? A lot of time companies want to make stuff smart so they can get your data. I'm sure there's some truth to that too. The only big wiring I did was the Nest thermostat, and that was the best investment because I didn't have to worry about temperature. Joke's on you. I'm in a house where we don't have a thermostat, so we don't have to worry about that at all anyway. There's not like a singular HVAC system to control. So I would have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on an HVAC system in order to get a Nest, opposed to just if it's hot, I turn on the AC, I push a button, and if it's cold, I push a button and turn on the heater. I don't see how that's so much worse that I need to spend all this money on a Nest thermostat. So much easier to change the temperature. Also, I know those make more sense when you're like, let the house get hot when I'm away from home, or cool down before I get home. But we're at home all the time, so there's not much scheduling we would do anyway. Having a Tim Cook and Steve Jobs voice for Siri would be entertaining and nice. That would be kind of fun. I don't know about Steve Jobs, though. That would be kind of creepy. It's like you're having some dead guy talk to you all the time. I only have 3 smart bulbs for outside sun rays, and sunset. All right. Good for you. I'm happy for you. I hope you enjoy them. Mr. Williams, thank you for the super chat. It says, great channel. Keep being an honest Apple sheep and telling it like it is, even if it's negative. Thank you, Mr. Williams. I appreciate that very, very much. And I will keep it real. As long as you guys continue to watch, don't even need to super chat or anything. As long as you're watching, I will keep doing this because I enjoy it very much. I have fun bouncing ideas off you guys and hearing everybody's different stories. Ryan says, if money wasn't a problem, you wouldn't be taking the piss out of people that do invest in more capable tech like smart switches, etc. I'm not taking a piss on them. You can buy what you want. I don't care. I'm just saying, don't expect me to do it. If you're getting mad at me for not buying things, I take issue with that. I'm not getting mad at anybody buying stuff that they want to buy. That's all your call. But also, money is a real thing, and I'm trying to get more into the habit of telling people that you should care about money. You should be wise with it. I don't think you should just throw it down the drain or act like money isn't a problem. You should be good stewards of what you have and put it in things that are important and valuable. And I'm just sharing my experience that I've bought smart switches, smart plugs, and smart home accessories and found very little value in it. So I'm trying to warn future people that are thinking about it that, hey, maybe you should just save your money, put it towards something of more value. And I think that's not a bad thing to suggest, is make sure people are not paying for things that they don't need. I would not sleep well at night if all I did was try to convince people to spend more money on their tech products. You all need Dynamic Island. You all need 120 hertz. Everybody should buy the latest and greatest. It's like, no. Buy things that are important to you. Would I get a Tesla HVAC system? Probably not. I just don't think my house is well built out for it, but it would depend on what it is. If it was like a mini split or something that I could easily work into my house, maybe. What do I think about Matter? Isn't that supposed to make smart home better across brands? I hope so. We'll see if it actually unfolds that way. But I'm glad that there's some cross-collaboration going on, because that is a big issue with smart home stuff, is like, this bulb is compatible with Amazon and this bulb is only compatible with Apple. And I'm like, what? Why are there software restrictions to specific hardware? I don't get it. Anyway, Joshua, thank you for the super chat. Do you think Apple should release only Pro models, or maybe release phones like an S upgrade? No, I think every year is an S upgrade at this point. Every year is just incremental changes. That's just the norm with smartphones, because big changes can't be made anymore. It's just not possible. It's not an Apple limitation. It's just a smartphone limitation. And I think that there is a lot of sales in the regular iPhones, even if you don't think they're worth it, even if I don't think people should buy the iPhone 14. It'll still probably end up being the best-selling phone. Like every year, that's usually the bestseller. The iPhone 13 was the bestseller last year, iPhone 12 the year before that. So why discontinue the most popular model? just because the tech community doesn't think they're exciting. Who cares what we think? As long as people are buying it, that makes sense to keep selling it. So Scott, thank you for the super chat as well. Just because you're the real deal, thanks, dude. Rockham says he's not taking a piss. He just doesn't see the value yet. Doesn't mean he wouldn't change his mind down the line, nor that he should. Like, what's the value? If I change my mind, I have to spend more money. So what's the advantage of instead of flipping light switches? Oh no, so inconvenient. I spend more money and ask Siri to change the lights or close the blinds more frequently. I don't see the value in it, and that's to my benefit. If I don't see the value in it, I get to keep more of my money and put it towards something more important. We should go to an 18-month release cycle. Nah, it makes sense to drop it in September, right before the big holiday rush every year. I think you guys are just bored and don't think the upgrades are meaningful. That doesn't mean that Apple needs to stop upgrading as frequently, because it makes sense that when people are ready to upgrade, Apple wants them to have the latest and greatest in technology. You're advocating if they only upgraded every 18 months, or Apple only released new iPhones every 18 months or every 2 years, then that would mean a lot of people are buying new iPhones that are using 15-month-old tech. Now they're buying even more dated hardware for full price. In fact, compared to Samsung or other companies, Apple releases the least amount of phones. Very few, most other companies release new phones every 6 months. Apple's the only company doing it every 12. And it's working out great for them. There's still a ton of people buying new iPhones every year. It's a formula that works, even if you're not interested in the new iPhones. Just keep in mind, a lot of people buying the iPhone 14 are not coming from the 13. They're coming from the 11. They're coming from the 10S or earlier. And when you're coming from those older models, then the 14 is a big upgrade. You're getting a lot of things all at the same time. Taking the piss. I don't know why that makes a big difference. Why have a 12-month release cycle moved to 1824? Because you're encouraging people to buy more dated hardware. Like, when people do decide they're in the market, which, again, most people don't buy the new iPhone every year. They buy a new iPhone every 3 to 4 years. You want to make sure that they're buying the latest tech. And if they did it every 24 months, that would be people buying a 20-month-old iPhone at full price. So just making sure that people have the latest available when they are ready to buy makes far more sense. People don't seem to think they're supposed to be like cars. New model every year, but moving from an iPhone 8 to a 14 Plus is a huge upgrade. Yeah, it'd be like saying that they shouldn't have a 2022 Toyota Camry and a 2023 Toyota Camry. No, because those two are too similar with each other. But what if one of them has enhanced CarPlay and the other one doesn't? So you're saying they should delay that launch of the new hardware? No. You don't upgrade your car every year either, so it makes perfect sense to me to do it at the same time every year. It's predictable, it's steady, everyone knows when to wait, everyone knows when it's coming, it's right in time for the holidays. So yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. I don't know why they would change that formula, push it out to every 24 months. That would just make sales worse. Less people would upgrade their phones, and more people would buy dated hardware. It sounds terrible. But anyway, I could do this all day if I'm not careful. I've been live for over 90 minutes. Oh my God. But I appreciate all of the super chats. And I appreciate all of you guys' support. I can't wait to unbox the new iPhone tomorrow. I'll be doing a video, of course, and everything. I'm going to try to actually film the unboxing in my car and edit the video there so that I don't have to drive all the way home, because I'm not very close to an Apple store. So I have to drive pretty far to get back home, unbox it, edit it, and then upload it. So I just figured, hey, I have a laptop and I have a nice car. Why don't I just unbox it there and edit it there and post it there? So that's the plan. Hopefully it should be posted pretty early in the morning and you get all my initial impressions on the 14 Pro Max in person. And I'm looking forward to it. So thank you all for tuning in. And I hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Enjoy!